So Janette, I'm starting to get an idea of some of your values, you know, and you said continuously learning is one of them. Um, I'm getting a sense that doing things with other people is also something that's really important to you. If you were to name 3 or 4 things that you feel are really at the core of what's important to you, what would those be?
Um, yeah, relationships are really, really important, and they've really changed my life at different stages. So during my degree, one of the things that has been massive change to me was my friends making me stay in a class where the lecturer at the beginning of the course said, "There's too many people in this course, so if you're not committed, it's really hard. If you're not committed and think you can't cope, then leave now." Well, all the women stood up and left the room. And my friends practically pinned me down to my chair to say, "Do not leave, you can do this." So, and that's my, it's valuing that relationship, and I trusted them and they believed in me. And that in many parts of my life has happened all the way through. It's enjoying people and finding out everybody's got unique qualities and got something interesting about them, and just having very strong helping others. I really love working with other people and trying to encourage and get the best out of them, and they reciprocate, and I think that's really important.
Yeah.
I think actually we're starting my business, that's part of it. It's when you start a company, you've got to build a team, and my company is virtual and means that we're going to contract a lot of work, but that's still building a team, and you have to really work well with your contractors and then encourage them to have the desire to give good value and to really think about your company and what you're trying to achieve. So if you're not good at forming relationships and trusting other people, I think it's really tough to have your own company. Nobody can do it on their own, and you've really got to trust people.
And I think that ability to foster strong relationships is something that has come through in other aspects of your life that I know about, like your work as a project manager, and then your work on the board of the PIPMG Pharmaceutical Industry Project Management Group.
Yeah, then that's with the PIPMG we run as a volunteer group, and to do that with volunteers who are all busy, they're all pharmaceutical executives, very senior, and if you don't, I always think you have to give something, that everybody has to get something out of it. So we try and make sure the volunteers do benefit themselves. It's not just about giving, it's sharing experiences, learning. You can practice new techniques, or you can practice, like Michelle was saying, you don't know how to say something to put someone, to correct someone, or to say that's not quite right. If you're with volunteers, they can practice those sort of skills in a very supportive environment, and then they can take those sort of skills back to their workplace. So
I was really thinking about, where has that importance of relationships, where have you learned that? What are those relationships that have mattered most?
No, I don't know. It's maybe because I had a bit of a weird family, a bit unusual family, should we say? And my brother and sister and I get on extremely well, unusually so. I hear a lot of siblings argue and compete, and I never understand that. But I think because my parents were not traditional, we stuck together and protected each other and looked after each other, and I think maybe it stems from that, because that worked really well and we gave us a strong foundation, and I think it's probably always driven from that, and perhaps a need to have other people in my life that I can trust, so probably built from that.
When you were speaking, those kind of connections that you make, those skills you have around pulling people together, it also seems like this is an exploration. I guess that's a question: is this also testing what your strengths are, what your values are, that those things come really naturally, and you tend to be better at those things when they come really naturally to you. So would you say that you already knew those strengths before kind of stepping into those kind of roles, or were you exploring that as well at the time?
That's a really good question. Yeah, I think my interest in doing that comes naturally, but I think I didn't have the strength to actually go and make those connections very easily. And I did have people to encourage me. So I remember one incident at Glaxo when we had a poster session for the big R&D boss came over. And, you know, I stood by my poster, it was great, and they read it and moved on. And my boss said, you know, you really must go and talk to that person and just tell them something, just ask a question or do something. And I thought, no, I can't. But I did. He kind of really encouraged me. And that made a massive difference because that research director remembered me. And I'm sure that had a hand in some of the later work and the work opportunities that I got. Because, you know, if you're going to select one out of half a dozen people, that person remembered me because I'd actually interacted with them. And it's just those tiny moments that's why I try and pay it back to people. Some people have really encouraged me, and I really think that's important to do that back to other people. Yeah, listen to people. So if they're telling you and encouraging you, go and do it, because they know you better than you know yourself sometimes.
And that's really great. That was something I was curious to explore as well, Janette, is, you know, who are the people who've made that kind of difference? So there was your friend in the classroom who pulled you down and made you stay. And then there was the research director as well. What other people have made a difference in your life?
Well, this goes back quite a long way. When I was 14, I was given the opportunity I got a bursary to go on an outward bound course. And I was very, very shy. I mean, a couple of you that know me wouldn't believe it, but I couldn't talk to anybody. I couldn't look anybody in the face. I was really shy. And so I went on this outward bound course and was very shy and very quiet, didn't do very much. And then at the end, we had to get over this big wall, and I suggested that we do it in pairs from double the time. It was a competition in the end. And of course, I was so quiet and shy and hardly anybody heard me. And the ones that did said, no, that won't work. So ignored me. It was only later afterwards, that's what everybody else did in the other teams. And I learned there from the instructors, she told me I should have stood up for myself, because I thought, oh, well, they just didn't listen. No, she told me it's my fault. So I should have stood up for myself and made them listen, because I was right. And at least I should have been forceful to make them listen and not dismiss me. And I just thought that was really interesting. I was like, oh, I was quite shocked, but first time somebody actually made me stand up for myself. And I thought that was brilliant. I think young people, if you can do that sort of things to young people, young women, shy, young anyone, just makes a massive difference. Take responsibility for themselves.
That's a very powerful example that you shared there, and I guess, you know, for all of us to bear in mind when we're interacting with other people, to give them that little bit of encouragement can make such a big difference.